Hey, hey, hey. We're back. We're black. We're brown. Ambition, 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 ambition. What's up, y'all? It's Mandi, aka Mandi Money. I am riding solo today, but not for long. While Tiff is living her best work free, gallivanting around Europe life ever for the month of August. I am here in the studio and I am so thrilled to be joined by the one and the only Morgan Debaun today, y'all. You'll hear a lot during our conversation about Morgan's journey into motherhood. But if you've been an OG BA fan member since the beginning days of Brown Ambition, you know that we have been writing with Morgan for a very long time, ever since I wrote a story about her when I was a reporter at Yahoo Finance about being a Black female founder of a huge company. Blavity Inc. is the company that Morgan co-founded way back in her college days, nearly a decade ago. And today, Blavity has just become this digital media juggernaut. And it has been a privilege to get to interview Morgan at these different junctures in her career and in her life. So we talked to Morgan early when she had recently launched Blavity. She came on again, I think, a few years later. I've been on her show at this point. So if you are listening to this episode and you haven't heard our previous interviews with Morgan, we'll have to find a way to link those on our website. Check out brownambitionpodcast.com so you can get the full arc of her story. But for those of y'all who are not familiar, let me get you familiar with my friend Morgan, okay? Morgan Debaun, she's a serial entrepreneur, executive, and corporate advisor. I mentioned she's the founder and CEO of Blavity Inc. This is a leading digital media company for Black culture and millennials. She has grown the company into a huge leader in her market for Black media and has over 100 million readers per month through the brand portfolio, which has grown to include 2190, Afrotech, Travel Noir, Shadow and Act, and Blavity TV. And just a quick insert from me, Mandi Moneymakers for my coaching program have found their way into roles in tech because of her conference series called Afrotech. So if you haven't checked out Afrotech and seen the work that Blavity does to match companies with Black talent, please go check it out. She's incredible, incredible. She's also an advisor to global brands like Pepsi, American Airlines, and other businesses. She's an angel investor in companies like Gold, Ness, Boxed Up, and Public. Born and raised in St. Louis, Morgan currently resides in Nashville, Tennessee, and y'all are going to hear all about her move to Tennessee and what she found there, because she went from zero to getting a man, getting a baby, all these things in less than 3 years, y'all. Okay. So when you talk about someone who gets shit done when they set a goal, that is Morgan personified. So I'm very excited to have her in the studio today. We're going to be talking, like I said, about her journey at this juncture in her life as an entrepreneur, a business executive, and owner, and also her newest role as a mommy. So excited. Without further ado, here is my interview with Morgan. I can't wait to hear how you guys feel about this episode. So definitely slide into our DMs. We are at Brown Ambition Podcast on Instagram. And if you have anything you want to share, shoot us a DM. You can also email us at brownambitionpodcast@gmail.com. But let's go. Let's get into our chat with Morgan. Rarely do I get to, I feel like, reconnect with someone that I've interviewed so many times. I feel like you've been on the show maybe twice or three times.
Mm-hmm.
I had the pleasure of being on her own podcast not that long ago. And similar to Tiffany, I'm like, wow, I've followed your journey. I've had my own journey at the same time, but here we are together, BA fam, for a treat of an episode with the one and the only Morgan Debaun, CEO of Blavity, and so many other things that we're going to get into today on the show. Welcome, Morgan.
Thank you for having me. Welcome
Wow.
back from mat leave-ish.
Yeah. I was telling Morgan that my mat leave is, it's a very convenient excuse if I don't want to do something. I'm like, I'm so sorry, I'm on mat leave, or I'll tell my virtual assistant, just like give him the mat leave email. But then if it's, hey, Morgan wants to be on your podcast, are you free? It's like, oh yeah, mat leave is over. I'm here for it.
And I told my team, I was like, just make sure she's back. Like, we can do this in a couple weeks, but here we are.
Here we are. I am 10 weeks post having my new baby boy, Remy Raphael. And Morgan, for those of you who do not know, and you should be following her podcast right now after you listen to this, called The Journey, and check them out on IG and all of that. Congrats, by the way, on the new show, the new podcast. But
Thank you.
Morgan's expecting any week now. You're close, right? How far?
I'm in my month 7, so I feel like it really got real when my OB was like, you got to come in every 2 weeks. I was like, bitch, what? Like, I don't even have, like, I have monthly calls. I don't have bi-weeklies. Like,
are you past the age of 35?
I am not. I am 33.
Bless.
So
I was at the same age when I had my first son. I didn't realize I was a few years older. So I'm 30. I just turned 36 like 4 days ago. I was 35 with my second, and it's a world of difference because you want to talk about doctors on doctors on doctors. And having to go, yes, it was such a, I was so frustrated by just having to go so often because you have to be seen by the high risk doc, at least at my practice. The advanced maternal age puts you in a category of high risk. So you got to go for additional, so many anatomy scans, so many ultrasounds.
Really?
Yes. And sometimes you couldn't, and you still have to do the regular OB appointments where you just pee in a cup and pop in and they're like, hey, you alive? Cool. Okay. Heartbeat. Anyway, it was a huge hassle. So I'm just saying.
I had no idea. I actually, when I was, I didn't realize that they only do 2 ultrasounds. Like for
proper
a
ones,
non-high risk. Yeah. So no, they told me they're like, you're not getting another ultrasound because I have a no low risk situation. And I was devastated. I was like, wait a minute, you're telling me I'm not going to see this little thing's face until he gets here? Like, I need to know.
You did the anatomy scan where you get to see like the 3D.
No, they didn't even do the 3D one. Just the regular just the regular anatomy scan. And then like the first one you go in just to make sure you're actually pregnant, not just a crazy lady. Like 1 and 2, that was it.
That's different. Okay. Because I know I had every experience is different. I also had gestational diabetes. So sometimes like they'll do like a lot of extra things. So you're like, this is not enough. And I'm like, Jesus, I know what he looks like. I can tell you.
And they also
I'm like,
told me,
there's the kidneys. Now I can recognize the gallbladder. Yep. I'm an expert now. Yeah. By the end of it, because so many.
They also told me that I should not go to one of the ones that you can just like go into that are around the city that are not like a part of the hospital.
Oh,
they just have those like 3D scans. They have like walk-in 3D scans. It's all they do is ultrasounds. And I was like, oh, what can I go to? They're like, do not do that, Morgan, just because you want to see the baby.
Why not?
They said that those people are not trained. And you know how bougie doctors are. They're like, they're not trained. You don't know if they actually know how to read things. If they see something wrong, you might have anxiety. Like, we're going to see you. Like, just all the things.
That part, yes. It's not like a photo booth for your baby. They're going to be there trying to tell you things about your baby. Yes. Yes. Oh, we're going to jump into this because Morgan has been for a decade now? How long have you been running Blavity? More than a decade?
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost a decade.
Almost a decade running Blavity, which has also spawned, like you're wearing your 2190 hat right now, has also spawned these like, what do you call them? Subsidiaries? These other businesses. You got Afrotech,
brands,
2190
businesses.
Brands.
I don't know anymore.
Brands on brands on
It's
brands.
A conglomerate.
At the same time, you were also and have been really dedicated to like being able to coach other entrepreneurs, the next generation of entrepreneurs. So I know you've had some iterations of a practice where you are offering like coaching to business owners, right? So you're busy, capital B busy. During the pandemic, you moved from California, was it LA, to Nashville? Still running all your companies and having your first baby. So let's get into it because on Brown Ambition, we've never really dedicated an episode to what does this look like? What does motherhood, parenthood look like when you're also running a business? And I know so many of our listeners are working 9 to 5, but they also have side hustles and they would love to step away from their 9 to 5 and then pursue that side hustle and may feel nervous about doing that with children. And I've always been, I've been 9 to 5 girly for so long, y'all. And I had my son when I was a 9 to 5 girly, and I had my second son now that I've been a business owner. So I've got both perspectives. But let's get into it, Morgan. Like, talk to me a little bit about, when did you start? Like, was your pregnancy planned in advance? And if so, like, how much thought went into the timing of it? You know, as much as we can control the timing, we hope we can. Talk about the beginning for you.
Yeah, the beginning for me was deciding that I wanted to have a personal life 3 years ago first.
Just 3 years ago.
Damn, I know, it's true. I mean, obviously you always want a personal life, but like taking the action to rebalance my time and my schedule and hire the right people at the company so that I could be afforded a personal life.
Yeah.
A healthy personal life. Let's just say, let's call it a healthy life.
Yeah.
So I think that was the first step, and just like trying to find, like just going through the dating scene, and, you know, dating as a CEO, dating as an entrepreneur is not easy. And going through that process, and then really making an intentional decision to find a partner who had the same values as me and wanted the same lifestyle as me and was willing to make sacrifices and choices so that we could live the life that we wanted.
So you went from zero to baby and a partner in 3 years?
Yeah.
Damn, girl. I mean, if anyone's going to do it, let it be Morgan. Get it done. But talk, what was, from your perspective, what was hard about the finding the partner, part of this?
I think that it was finding someone who was at that point in his career where everybody's grinding at different times in their life. You know, I chose to grind super hard in my 20s so that I could live a more balanced 30s, so that I could live a really, really good life in my 40s plus.
Hey, yes.
Some people spend a lot of time hanging out and exploring and figuring out who they are in their 20s. And then, you know, their 30s is really where they're buckling down and reaching their next level of success so that they can really pop off in their 40s. Right. And particularly men, I think, oftentimes have that trajectory unless they're like doctors or lawyers or places, you know, people who have to go through schooling. But if you're like in the business world, 20s, a lot of guys are just kicking it still. They don't have the same issues we do as it relates to fertility. Right. So they don't really start saying, you know what, I'm going to really buckle down until they're in their 30s, which often means, in my experience, especially on the coast, which is where I was dating, they're not really ready to be a full-time parent, not just father a child. I was looking for a go and half on a parent, not a sperm donor. Okay. I had plenty of offers for that. I needed someone to go half on being a parent.
Yes.
Okay. And so at one point I was dating men in their 40s because I was like, okay, these are the only men who like have the mental capacity and the financial stability, and they have met some of their goals to even have the space to be a partner and a parent. But that didn't work out for me. That actually wasn't the right route. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons I moved to Nashville, was because I felt like I was closer to people who had similar values as me, and dated a couple guys here. And fell in love with a man I met at a bar, at a restaurant on a random Friday night.
Wow. So you just met him, you weren't like set up on a date or met him through an app or anything like that? Okay.
No app. My other friend was, I had texted one of my friends who lives here and just said, like, let's go out for drinks. And then he had said, oh, I'm going to bring this random guy with me because you guys are both in media, which we're not both in media, but he didn't know that he's a doctor. And I was like, whatever, it's fine. It's 6:00 on a Friday. And then I was like, oh, hello. What's going on over here?
That's a good friend. And was he thinking, hey, they might hit it off, or was it just happenstance? Okay, because guys don't.
It was more of just like the boys, like, no, he's like,
that's my boy.
We're gonna go get a drink. Do you want to go my boy's gonna come with us to get a drink? It was more of like that situation.
Yeah, I love that first of all, this is why you are so successful, and I'm gonna throw myself in that category too of being successful because you will be willing to make a huge change to get the thing that you want, to move from Cali to Nashville and recognize like what's not working here is maybe the dating pool itself. So let's change the pool, and take that big leap. And I think that's, something that like if you're listening and you would like to be partnered, and you know what, I am here for conversations about partners and love and relationships. I feel like in the past, like it's become sort of, I don't know, like criticized or made fun of, like when women, talk about relationships and life and love. And I'm like, but that's part of it too. And most of us want money and the other stuff. Like, and we should be able to talk about that. Yeah.
It's all connected to me because and he was the same way. We both picked each other and both picked people who are in alignment with our values and our financial goals and the way we want to live our life. That dramatically impacts my wealth. It dramatically impacts my ability to be an earner and to build assets. I mean, what's the point of having assets and having like a trust that doesn't go to anybody? What's the point of being able to go to beautiful restaurants and beautiful hotels and travel around the world, if you're always sleeping alone?
Exactly.
For me, I'm sure other people, they're like, that's a beautiful life. And I'm like, I'm here for that too. I get that. But that wasn't the life that I wanted. So I think that it reiterates the why behind why we want the wealth, we want the money, we want the cash. It's because of the freedom and the lifestyle and the power and the agency to live the lives we want to live.
Hell yeah. And also debunking the myth that when a woman is successful, love is not an option for her because men can't rise. They feel insecure. They feel inferior. You hear those horror stories and you're like, do I have to choose one or the other? But I'm proof that you can find a man who, will support you and love you at, your worst. And also when you're super successful, and you met someone when you were already, at a level of success yourself. So who is this man?
His name is Josh. He knew nothing about Blavity. He had never heard of me before because he's very much like a Southern alpha man. So he's like, I don't look up who owns companies.
Like Sports Center is that's the media he consumes.
Yeah, he's not. But that was like, that's great. Yeah, there's a lot of men like that. In LA, it would be like, oh my God, I applied for job at Blavity in 2019 and you never got back to me. That's
awkward. Wait, that happened on a date?
Literally. And I've had guys that have been so messed up, like, maybe we went out for like a business drink or what I thought was a business drink. And then they'll tell their friends, I went on a date with Morgan. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is terrible.
I can see how that would happen in Cali though. Like in Cali and New York, a certain type of person moves there,
That's
like
right.
Probably a media type or at least entertainment or some kind of, that happens, especially if they move from somewhere else to go there.
Or finance, any category, really. Yeah. And I think also every couple I know that lived in LA that got partnered up, most of them met somewhere else and then moved to LA. I know very few people who've actually like organically met their person and then
in LA
made the commitment, made it through the dating period, got married and had a baby.
Yeah, La La Land was a complete lie. But you found this Josh. What does Josh do? And how soon did career stuff come up?
We didn't talk about it for a while. Probably like the first 3 months, actually, like pretty intentionally. Okay. Because I had not made that mistake before, but felt like because in certain circles, it is so visible what I do. In certain circles, you literally could have no idea, right? Like most circles. But in LA and New York, DC, like, certain circles, you're kind of like, oh yeah, like I've heard of that. Or people start to Googling. And yeah, so Josh has a production company, a video production company. He works with high growth startups and does their video assets. And so he does like narrative-based storytelling. So it's adjacent to me, but it's, we don't have Blavity doesn't have a production company. We hire production companies So if you look at my Instagram, people could start to see when I started to date Josh because my Instagram started to get lit and I used to have a ton of videos.
I noticed, I'm like, she's taking a lot more like lifestyle pics. Someone's behind the camera who knows what they're doing.
Yeah. Shout out to Modern Innovations team because the podcast, like everything, he has a whole company that does it. So it's much easier to
that's
get things
perfect.
done
So you
now.
guys so y'all actually collaborate like business wise. Oh,
it's kind of hard not to. I mean, he has a warehouse where he keeps a lot of the equipment, but I'm like, you have 7 cameras in this house at any given moment. And, so yeah.
So I love that because, some couples you can work together. I know for a fact my husband and I never, not once, you have your area and I have mine, but he's very different. He works for the government. He's into like, techie stuff. But that synergy, was that something that attracted you to him when you found out like, okay, what he does, like he can kind of, not just what he does, in the trade of video production, but the fact that he often talks to leaders of businesses and probably wasn't intimidated by you at all, right? Because those are real people to him.
I think that his creative mind attracted me to him. He's like a director creative. So I'm more of a business operator, CEO, and he's more of a creative director, I would say, that also has a business. And so it's nice to collaborate, and we'll look at a documentary and both of us aren't just looking at the documentary or watching the documentary. I'm like, who produced this? How much did this get bought for? I'm looking at the Tribeca or like the Sundance notes. He's like, this was shot on this angle. Did you see that they left the mic there? Like, so yeah. I think we're just both super nerds about what we do. And that's where we connected, was we both take our career and our work and our life and we just like love living everything as multi-hyphenates together. We don't compartmentalize very well. We both work from home. We both sacrificed a ton in our 20s of our cash, of our time to build these businesses. So I think we resonated on like just the work ethic that goes into where we are now.
And is he a Tennessee, Nashville boy, born and bred?
Country boy. Country Tennessee boy.
I love it.
He catches flies with his hands.
What? So he got that lightning speed? Can he come to my house?
Listen.
Because it's right now the doors are thrown open and the flies have taken over and I can't. Please.
Someone's going to be listening to this and be like, wait, what? The girls who get it. That is such a value add. You don't understand. Living in the South.
That is a man who can be at peace with what he must meditate to find that center and then just like... That's so really sexy.
Sometimes
that's really
it's annoying because I'm like, can you stop chasing this fly? Yes, he's on mine.
As long as he disposes of them and washes his hands, I'm all for that.
Yes.
So now, when you met this Josh and the vibes are there, the romantic part is there, you also are a businesswoman. You're like, okay, timeline-wise, are you thinking, when is a good time to talk about what I want next, which is a family? Because, turnaround time for a kid in 3 years, y'all do know how long a baby takes to bake, right? It was pretty not fast for some, but not for you. But how did that conversation go?
We didn't really start talking about a baby until we were really sure that we were each other's like forever person. We fell in love fast. We moved in pretty quickly together and just like were paired really fast.
I love that.
So fast that everyone around us were like, are you guys sure? And we're like, yeah, we're sure. This is it. He's staying. I'm staying. This is it. So, yeah. And then he's a little bit older. He's just a couple years older. And all of his friends, again, country boy from the South. So all his friends have, some of them have like 14-year-olds.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think that he was kind of like, are we going to do this? Are we not going to do this? We both are lucky enough to have both sets of our parents still alive and with us and also live in Tennessee and Nashville.
Oh, I didn't realize. So your family lives in Nashville.
My parents live here and his parents live here.
Oh, so girl, that is so smart for you to move closer to your family when you want to have a kid. I'm a dummy and I didn't do that, but I'm so happy for you.
Yeah. It was critical. It was kind of like, all right, if you're going to be in family mode, you got to be around, for me,
your people.
And I also was kind of like, there was a scenario in which I didn't find a partner and I still wanted to be around my baby nephew and my family, and just have family still as a centerpiece in my life. So we are, so at that point I was like, okay, cool. Like, we want to do this. So then the question is, do you wait? Like, do you wait and just like live your life? You found the love of your life. Like, let's go kick it for like 4 or 5 years. That was really the decision. Or do we knock it out and then
knock what out?
It. Knock out the baby.
It's never knocked out. There's at no point have I felt like I knocked it out 4 years in.
Well, I think I might be realizing that just a tad bit now that I'm pregnant. Just a little bit of a miscalculation there.
Knock it out in 18 years?
Yeah, this morning he was like, I wish we had waited. Like, he's like, I'm happy you're pregnant. I'm happy about the baby. But I wish that we had waited just a little bit longer because I feel like I lost you. I'm losing you. I'm like, yeah, we're best friends. You are losing me. Like, I am tired. So, I know you want to hang out, but like, I just can't.
The version of you that he fell in love with, it's hard to be. Everyone's pregnancy is different. My first pregnancy, my first pregnancy, I barely felt it. I just was like running around New York being my same self. My second pregnancy hit me a lot harder. I was super sick, in pain a lot. And my husband had to caretake. And I'm sorry, but he's a classic Dominican man, ran by a household where the women did the caretaking. He's not very good at it, nor does he really get. Yeah. So to see me, like, he's already told me no more kids, if that's what you're going to be like. Cause like for 10 months, 9-10 months, I was different. And it's so hard. Yeah. And I'm like, I love this. I want to have another one. He's like, I can't do this again. So that's real, what you're describing. Very real.
And I just think men don't think about it as like, don't think about that element of it. They might want to be a dad. They might want to be, have a family, but I don't think they realize the woman that pre-baby is, we just physically can't, hormonally, physically, like I don't sleep very well. Like it's a transition. And I knew that going in, but I just don't think that they think through that. So for any men that are listening to this, please honor your pre-baby girl, woman, person, partner.
I would say if you haven't had an illness with your partner, like before you decide to have a baby with someone, like try to get sick or try to be incapacitated. I'm not saying go out and break your own leg. I'm just saying like,
you just try to take care of them fully for a week, even if they're not sick. Like,
just have your friend or your partner, see what kind of caretaker they are and see what happens when you're down. Cause it's sickness and health. I know that you guys, you're not actually married, right? Or you are? No, married. Right? But like, traditional vows, sickness and health and da-da-da-da-da. But like, it's real. They can say that and it's cute when they're 28 or whatever, but what does that look like? And can they care for you? Because that is so
And it's gross, Mandi. It's gross. Like, you've got a lot going on with your digestion system. You've got a lot of things going on with your physical.
Baby, you've been sick. You've been like nauseous.
Well, I was constipated.
Oh, yes. They don't tell you that shit. Progesterone is the enemy. Progesterone will fuck you up from hole to hole, okay? From toe to head, all of it, progesterone.
So you better be comfortable talking about your bowels with your partner. If you can't fart in front of him, if you can't talk about your bowels, if you're like, hey, when I give birth, there's going to be blood everywhere and, pee, I might poop while I'm giving birth. Like, if you can't say these things, maybe reconsider.
Or, like if you want someone or if you don't feel comfortable the way that you are in front of them, even just being, if you, not putting on a face, not putting on a fit, just being,
stinky, body odor.
That is love. You know what I'm saying? That is love, but it is really hard on your body. What about, so kind of setting Josh aside for a minute. We'll come back to you, Josh. Okay. We haven't forgotten.
He's probably listening to this like, oh my God, please get off of me.
No. Oh, they love it. Actually, if he's like my husband, he won't listen and that's better. It's better, but talk to me about business wise. So you've got your mans, you guys have decided you're going to go for it. Get this check mark done. But But business-wise, when did you start thinking about how this would affect, your time at Blavity, and then what was your strategy from there?
Yeah, so about a year and a half ago is when, so like early spring last year, was when I said, all right, if we're going to have any shot at getting this done in the next 2 years, I got to change some things. So I hired a CFO, Chief Business Officer, to help me have a better sense of our financials on a day-to-day. I had a VP of finance, but I needed someone who was going to be a more strategic partner and just like helping me, and also had the experience running 4 or 5 big leadership teams. Blavity's over 200 people, so just for like scale wise. So,
oh wow, okay. Blavity itself, and then the additional brands are more headcount, or do they all? They're all underneath.
They all bundle underneath. Yeah, okay. But full time, and then we have contractors. So like at any given point, for example, during Afrotech season, we could be upwards of 400 plus people because we scale up during the conference season. So fun. But so I needed people who could like manage a big boy boss company, and like someone people were going to respect and be like, no, Morgan's not available, but he's got it. Right.
Yes.
Okay. So, and also protect the business. So if I'm out or I'm stepping back on some of the operational things like legal, we didn't have a legal department. So I hired our first head of legal in-house. Okay. She's been amazing. We hired a more senior controller. So just like growing up and maturing so that we're protected. If something goes wrong, there's no like dramatic downfall of any one thing.
Yeah.
Because my mind always goes to worst case scenario.
It's great. I mean, it's what I love about that is I've talked about it too. I didn't have my first son when I was running my own company, and certainly not 200 people at Mandi Money Inc. It's just 1.5. But
one day.
Hey, one day. Inshallah. But anyway, when I was 9 to 5, I was running a team and of 30 plus like 100 contractors, and me becoming pregnant was almost like the best thing that could have happened for my team and the company as far as my contribution, because it made me create a more resilient team, a team that could step up to the plate and find weaknesses and plug those holes, and reinforce it and make it stronger. And it sounds like that happened, or you feel that way, about how you approach Blavity was like.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was my biggest fear was like, something, heaven forbid, something went wrong while I was pregnant where I was needed bed rest or some sort of thing that like really took me out, where I really need to be 100% focused on baby and my own health. And there was no escalation plan. There was no succession plan. There was nobody who could ultimately make some of the big decisions that we needed to make that I trusted.
Okay.
So that was really helpful. And then the other person I hired, and this is key. So I got my bottom line. I hired my top line. I hired a CRO. So not only when I go on mat leave, do I not want to get sued, but I would also like to make more money.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That'd be great. So hired our CRO, Chief Revenue Officer, and I talked to the board about it. That's the other thing I did. I've been telling my board I will have a baby at some point. I will need to rebalance some things at some point. So they were all prepared. They knew this was going to happen, and that I wanted to make some investments in some senior leaders these are not cheap people. These are people with 30, 40 plus years experience,
Okay.
And they supported me behind that. So I think having a supportive board was helpful. And then I also had a year to work with them. So that was the other thing I wanted. It was I wanted to wait a little bit so that I could really get to know them, and we're remote. So, being able to travel and meet with them and non-baby related, just straight up make sure we're a good team together. And I've been so lucky to have both of them because in addition to my existing leadership team, which was already incredible.
Now, I know that you're in it's a difficult position, but almost a privileged position to be a CEO of a company. And like I heard you say, to backtrack a little bit, you told the board in advance, I'm going to be having a baby. right? Is that what you did?
Before I got pregnant.
Yeah, let's plan for it.
Yeah.
I get questions from even my own career coaching practice and then from Brown Ambition listeners who are like, I want to have a baby, and I want to interview, but I don't want to mention it. Should I mention it? Can I mention it? Or they're worried about, don't mention it, of course. Plus you don't have to, there's nothing legally, you can be 9 months pregnant and just sitting there staring at them like, you don't see this. What do you see? Can't talk about it. Legal. Anyway, but you do, you have that, like, you don't have to worry, or maybe you did. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but there's not that same fear about, will I be penalized for this? Will they treat me differently? Because in your position, it's a position of power, which is, amazing. And I just want to acknowledge for some women at work. Well, yeah, tell me what that's like for you.
Yes, I acknowledge that there's a different power dynamic, but it's still a power dynamic. I absolutely worried about, it's one thing to tell someone, hey, in the next 2 years, I'm probably going to get married and have a baby. So you guys should not expect crazy 70-hour a week traveling twice a week, Morgan. And then saying, I'm pregnant.
Okay.
In a recession.
It's happening.
When the media industry is in shambles. And I won't be at Afrotech this year, right? It's, I definitely was very nervous to tell them. And I told them all individually. I didn't tell them, all together. It was like, let me call so-and-so, let me call so-and-so, let me call so-and-so.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, it wasn't.
Was that because you didn't want the big drama? I know it's not in a boardroom because it's virtual now, but did you not want did it feel strategically better to do it one-on-one or less?
I think that I was able to tailor the message to each individual personality type and their own fears and anxiousness around what would happen if Morgan is not available, if the CEO is not available. And they all did have different reactions. One of them is like, congrats. The other one's like, who's going to run the company when you're out? It's very different reactions. Yeah. And I have the blessing of being remote. So if you look at me, I don't look pregnant. So I probably could have gotten away with it for a very long time if I didn't really make it public. But that was not in the best interest as the fiduciary and chairperson of my board to do. That's not the responsible thing to do. But yeah, I did have a lot of anxiety. I'm sure it's not the same type of anxiety that a woman who is, or a birthing person who is talking to their employer. But in some ways, the board is my employer.
No, exactly. And I know we have a lot of listeners who are entrepreneurs as well. And they are, Blavity, I don't know, does it feel, how do you feel about Blavity now? You've grown up a lot, and even just the past year and a half, not to be patronizing, but you know what I mean, by building, you still have room to grow and to bring in new people with more experience. But from the outside looking in, it's like Morgan created this great successful company and, she's running things, but how much of you feels like you have reached a level of I don't know, not to say you're coasting, but I'm here, I did it. And how much of you still feels like that scrappy entrepreneur who was creating Blavity at your, in college with your friends?
I feel that we will never go down to zero. Having made it through COVID, it's not like we will all of a sudden go bankrupt. Although I say that knowing that Vice just went bankrupt. So in some ways, there are plenty of risks that we still have to navigate in today's climate, especially with the changes in technology. And we're a very diversified business. So that's the way that I've fought that risk. It's Afrotech in our talent acquisition business and helping people hire Black talent is very different and totally unrelated to a content and advertising business, helping companies and people reach one another. Two different businesses. So if one's up and the other one's down, and the down one, it goes up and down. So I don't feel like we're out of the hair yet. We have done a lot of growing up in the last 2 years. And people can see it, right? You can tell because we were just a lot more present. But I still feel like I have landmines. I don't feel like I can just go on vacation for 6 months.
Right. Which brings us to this whole idea of mat leave when you're
Mm-hmm.
a business owner and a CEO. So you've told the board, you're preparing, you're hiring, you're getting that done. But then what will your mat leave look like?
So my birth date, hopefully, is the week of Afrotech, actually. So that's
Oh,
November 1st. Yeah, it's very sweet.
yeah.
However, I'm going to be struggling with how much fun everyone else is having.
Doesn't November seem so far away when you're 7 months? Oh, girl, that
It feels like
last.
forever.
Yes, but it's coming, okay?
But it's weird because
But
I'm also like, we're not ready for Afrotech. And I'm like, I'm not ready for baby. So
yeah, but then the baby will
it's
be
a
here
weird
and
thing.
you'll forget. You'll take your hands off the wheel and your people will grab the wheel and you'll forget. And you'll just be
Yeah.
like, doesn't matter. But anyway, keep going. Sorry, mat leave.
Yeah, so that's the timing, which is Q4. So we work in quarters. So
Mm-hmm.
Q4 is October, November, December, October, November, December. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's also our biggest quarter as a company across both businesses. So it's a really critical time for us as a company. Um, how am I changing or how am I preparing? I've worked on my maternity plan, and we're doing all of our annual planning for 2024 right now. So we're meeting in person at the
Okay.
leadership level and deciding our goals, deciding the entire operating schedule from Q4 through the end of Q1, which we wouldn't normally do. We would usually wait till the end of the year,
Mm-hmm.
closer to the end of the year, to build out our plan for the first half of next year, like from a literal budgets and P&Ls level.
Right.
So I moved it up because those are key decisions that are my responsibility to make. And I needed
Right.
to move it up in a way at a time in which I had the mental, physical, and emotional capability to manage complex situations,
Mm-hmm.
not when I am so tired and would prefer to not even talk to anyone because I will
Yeah.
be 9 months pregnant.
No, that's smart. Absolutely. So you're calling it maternity planning. Will there be a period where it's going to be, do not contact me? I am
Yes.
in newborn phase.
Yes, but my mind, I am winding down now so that everyone can get prepared, and people will
Yeah.
be like my direct reports will switch over before I go on that leave, so that if there's questions
Smart.
or things that people need to work through, let's say one of my reports is now moving to our CFO, we will do one-on-ones with all three of us, so that
Gotcha.
moving forward, there's at least some rapport. There's all the nuances are all handled before I'm actually unavailable, because I do plan on the week before I give birth, I'm out.
Okay.
So no phone, Slack's coming off my phone, emails coming off my phone.
Okay.
I have to be religious like that. Like I have to be disciplined like that because I know
Hmm.
myself. There's
Yeah.
like if I see the Slack, I'm gonna look at the Slack.
I was slacking in the delivery room, but it was my second. It was more relaxed, But anyway.
I hear you. I I talked to a lot of women. I did a lot of research before um, I made my maternity leave plan, and I tried to look up like what is the standard for CEOs and founders and business operators. I think it's one thing to be an executive at a really big company and to take mat leave,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a little different when at the end of the day, you're still responsible for all these people's salaries and their livelihoods and their kids being able to afford braces. I take my responsibility very seriously. So I there's not actually that many resources. You're either like Marissa Meyer
Who
at
I worked
Yahoo, which
under at Yahoo. She had
exactly, and that
twins
was
and blew out an office and built a nursery. And
and the
yes,
world ripped her apart for it.
they sure did. Yeah,
Ripped her
they sure
apart
did.
for it. But they
Because
would
you're
have ripped
damned
her
if you
apart
do.
if she also didn't. It was a
Yeah.
mess. I mean,
Yes.
but that was like the first public mess
Did
that
you
I had
talk to
seen.
Marissa? Who'd you talk to? I don't know if you can say, but I think it's so wise of you to talk to, yes, women who know exactly intimately what you're going through, which must have been
Yes.
not a
I
huge
cannot say who
pull.
I talked to, but I did not talk to Marissa. I talked to other women of similar stature at different
Okay.
levels, women who own their own companies, women who are hired CEOs at companies that are scaling, women who were fundraising or going through an acquisition or a sale or a fundraise. And there's just so many different scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
And what everyone said was like, look, you're super hormonal. right when you give birth for like at least the first 8 weeks. I'm curious what your experience was, Mandi, or is
I do endorse this. Yes, the hormones keep hormoning. The progesterone, whatever it is, the evil, yes, it continues long after. So for me, it's like a bit snap decisions, or decisions that are big. You don't necessarily want to do those by yourself, for
right.
a couple of months
And that's
after
what they were kind of
pregnancy.
saying. They're like, I mean, you can do podcasts, you can write a newsletter, you can like do some day-to-day things, but you don't want to do your annual budget planning 8 weeks postpartum where
or
you're
prepartum.
deciding
Or like the month before,
that window. Yeah.
It's going to be, yes, you're a live wire. At least I was.
That's
You're going to think, yes,
no, I'm
exactly.
already spontaneously crying. So if that's how it is at 7 months, it's going to be a mess.
Girl, I had to stop watching anything with commercials. Why are commercials so sad? Like, why? What for? And also, fuck you, TikTok algorithm. Because when I tell you, I don't even know when it started, maybe the second trimester, so many dead baby stories on TikTok. I'm happy for y'all that you're sharing and getting, and there's no shame, but Jesus, if TikTok could just not deliver those to me in the For You page, it would be,
helpful.
It would be helpful.
Yeah. So but talking to other women told me these things. They said, move your planning up. Do not think that 2 weeks before you give birth, you're going to be able to build an entire financial plan for your company for next year. Like, no. Do not think you're going to go to a board meeting and like represent the company 2 weeks before you give birth. Like, let other people speak at the board meeting. So I feel grateful that I was able to have access to women who've been through this before, because it's not like I could pick up a book on how to do this. So then so for about 6 weeks post baby, I will be unavailable. Don't text me. Don't call me. As long as there's no lawsuit, I don't want to hear about it. Yeah. And then after that 6 weeks, I will still be on mat leave, but I will read a weekly email, which I call a decision-making log, which my chief of staff will manage, which is basically just document all the decisions that are being made. And if I think that something is a yellow flag, then I will type back my response.
Okay.
Just so that I don't come back and it's like, why did so-and-so decide to use this random tool that cost us $200,000? Like,
gotcha.
Y'all didn't think you want to tell me about that, right?
It's like, I'm imagining that's how it feels when I leave the house and someone nice does dishes for me, but they put my shit in all the wrong drawers. And I'm like, they're like, be grateful I helped you. I'm like, honestly, leave the kitchen dirty, because if I can't find the spatula, I'm going to be in a rage for 5 minutes while I'm opening. Anyway, not helpful. No, that's smart. What about red flag? You said yellow flag. Is there a red flag version where you hop on a phone call or something?
Yeah, red flags. I'm still working on my red flag list, but
it should be a hologram. Red flag. You hologram appear.
No, it was like if a VP or above resigns or is about to resign, like if there's some sort of like senior leader that as of now we don't think is unhappy or is getting poached, like, and there's a situation, call me. I don't want to be surprised. I very much value our team and our leadership team. And if I can make a last minute phone call or a last minute budget decision, like, let me know. The list wasn't very long, frankly. I think I also said, like, don't miss your goals on the list. Like, if you are going to miss your goals, don't let me just, like, tell me in advance.
Oh, okay. I think that sounds good. I mean, it's for me, as an entrepreneur, it's kind of, I don't know. I kind of enjoy it. I definitely enjoy my maternity leave so much more now that I have, because for me, it's fun. First of all, I love what I do. Right. So
what do you do with your time?
What do I do with my time? Yeah, exactly. It's boring as hell, especially you don't have another kid to distract you or make you, it's boring. They just lie there and
That's what I'm saying.
They lie there, and even the things that do involve you doing things like becomes monotonous and again,
breastfeeding. I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to be doing while I'm doing that for like
exactly
5 hours
you'll get
to
a time when your brain starts to be free and you're like, this thing is not responding to me, not even smiling. They don't even smile till like 8-10 weeks old. They can't give you nothing. They just take. They're a leech. They take.
Boo.
So you have to give. Like I had my first postpartum massage. Like I think I was 2 or 3 weeks postpartum. I booked that stuff for myself because, like, again, they're giving you nothing. They're just sucking it from you. So yeah, pouring into yourself. I was like, yeah, I'm taking this. I'm going on these massages. I just had a deep tissue yesterday, 90 minutes, baby. Yes. Just the board. So being able to, check into Slack, check in with my admin, take a media, interview request. I kept homegirl from CNBC on the phone for like 45 minutes because I'm like, I got all the time. You want to talk about this? I got to know this. She's like, I got my quote. Can you go? You must have something better to do. I'm like, actually, no, I just want to talk. Yeah. So that I like. And dipping my toe in and out. But for you as a leader, I imagine you don't want to get them, you don't want to you can't just be in and out because then it's unsure. People aren't sure. Then they start turning to you for it and they're not listening to each other. Exactly. So how do you think you'll manage that?
I've learned that the hard way. I mean, I've had many years where I've tried to go on vacation and then I'm like on calls, so I've learned that there's really no in between. Either she's online or she's offline. And either she trusts us to make the decision or she doesn't trust us to make the decision. And so I have to actually be offline.
Okay.
Which is not going to be easy, which is why I have to proactively manage it and take all the things off my phone.
And how long will they be off your phone for? Is that just the 6 weeks? Or are we extending
that'll be from November through the second week of December.
Okay. I mean, it's the holiday season too, so it's not a bad time to be winding down. Or no?
Should be okay.
Yeah.
Well, CEO, CFOs, I mean, we're not really ever off. Like the rest of our employees will be kicking it, but we're doing the budget planning and all the things for them to come back to. So, and then I'm taking all of January still. Like I'm still going to be off all the way through mid-February, and then. So again, quarter, so all the way through Q1. And then what I'm doing is for my direct reports, the 2 weeks that I come back in February or a week and a half, because February is short, I will then shadow back into the one-on-one. So I will not come back and immediately disrupt, because that's the other thing that I think people might have anxiety about. Like, oh my God, she's been gone for so long, so much has happened. Like,
yes, you're so emotionally smart. Like you're so tapped into how people, how your presence changes dynamics, and that's so smart. And you can't.
That's trauma.
Trauma, and maybe you learn the hard way. But to work for someone like you who gets that, I think is the opposite of a toxic work environment, whatever you want to call it. But I just want to commend you for that because, and maybe your people are so used to it that they take it for granted, but do not, because it's clear that you care about them.
The reason why I'm so emotionally aware of my presence is because I used to not be. And I got a lot of negative feedback about it. And that was something that I've worked really hard and had a lot of coaching on my own performance as an executive on how do I build high performing teams. And part of the key thing that I had to work on was high trust and understanding. I underestimated what my presence, how it impacted people. Like as a founder, making that transition from founder to CEO, I did not understand the power dynamics because we grew so quickly. Because there was a time when I was like, these are just the homies, but it's like, these are not the homies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad because I think that was a part of leadership that, just even showing up to happy hour or not, or popping in. Hey, you guys are meeting? I love hearing about marketing. Let me just pop in and listen. No, don't just do that. Don't do that.
I don't do that anymore. They go out for drinks. I don't go. If we take the team to dinner, I'm at dinner and then I leave. Like
I think Lizzo is learning this right now. What Lizzo is going through right now, this is the lesson she's learning. And you know what? People are dragging her, but I'm like, you're dragging her. She is becoming a better leader. Like this is going to make her. This is what we all, I think, as leaders go through a little bit if you don't get like a stern talking to. What's your perspective on that? That's how I feel like it is. Like, girl, don't go to the strip club with your direct reports.
Why would you? No, and not junior level like contractor reports who are. That's the definition of a power dynamic where they're trying to they're trying to get in So they're going to have pressure to do with whatever the group is doing because they want to get in, so, and they idolize you. You're Lizzo, right? So it would be the same thing for me if like I'm kicking it with people we hire as staff for Afrotech and I'm like, we outside. I'm like, wait a minute. These people are trying to get a full-time job at Blavity and be on the Afrotech team full-time. Like, this is not okay for them, right? And also not good for me. It puts me at risk, puts the company at risk. And I think the situation with Lizzo is exactly that. Like, she was probably this is probably her natural state and just kicking it. You're in Amsterdam at a club. Amsterdam at a club is code for you're at a sex club. They kind of leave the Amsterdam part out of it, which I think is unfair in the storyline. Because to me, like, that's actually a critical part of you're in Amsterdam where sex and sex clubs are legal. Like, this is not like she was
freaking Lizzo. You know what I mean?
And you're a sex positive woman. So, anyways, icon. But not to diminish how those women might have felt uncomfortable in that space. I could totally understand how you feel uncomfortable.
Lizzo put them in that position.
And so she should not have put them in that position. And I 100% agree that was not cool. So yes, that is the consequence of not being aware of your power dynamic and feeling like maybe you want to be inclusive when actually being inclusive in we're all equals. You're not actually all equals. You're the boss.
All right. We've talked about the bae. I said we come back to him. I'll get to him. The business. Now let's talk about you and what life as a parent will look like after you have the baby. Ooh, let's do that. Bae, business, and baby. The 3 Bs. Now we're in the baby phase. So talk to me about how you're planning your own support so that when you have this child, you can be the best version you can possibly be. I know that you've got some plans for your own support, which I'm so happy to hear. So talk to us a little bit about that. What will it look like for you?
So first up was my baby shower. I decided not to have a baby shower and to have a nesting week instead, where my girlfriends flew in and my family to help me prepare as like acts of service as opposed to gifts.
Oh my goodness.
So, because I just don't, like, I'm not someone who feels like, I'm not an over planner when it comes to these types of things. It sounds crazy because I just told you my whole maternity plan for the business, but as it relates to me personal, like I just bought like my first pack of diapers. Like, I'm not like, I don't have like the
same
stuff.
Yes. It doesn't seem as urgent. It's like Amazon's a thing, Yes, absolutely.
Just go to Target, but I know other moms are like mad prepared. As soon as they find out they're pregnant, they start buying all types of stuff. So I was, I knew that about myself, and I'm really grateful to have a lot of women in my life that are amazing moms and have recently gone through it. So they're coming. It's like I put out the bat signal. They're coming and they're helping me with my hospital bag. And I'm like, nipple cream, just all this stuff, like all the things that are tied to my own being and my own wellness, writing me postpartum sticky notes to put on the mirror, to help with just my body image and just knowing that like I've been through an experience, like just all of the little things. And I value that so much from how I live my life and how I receive love. It means so much that they're coming to do that. And they would have came for a baby shower too and kicked it. But like, I don't need someone to buy me the stroller.
Yeah.
I need you to help me put the stroller together.
Yes, that is such a, and for anyone who's listening, if you're having your first child, like, or you're planning to, this took me until my second to come to that. Cause I thought about I had a killer baby shower though. I wasn't even a shower. I had a party.
Let's go.
It was, my husband's Dominican, but I think I'm more Dominican than he is. Cause when I tell you, we rented out a Dominican restaurant, it was from 6 to 11, open bar.
Oh my God.
We were dancing. Anyway. But this time around, my mom and my sister, they flew in a couple of weeks before the baby, and they were pressed like, is the baby going to come before we leave? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe. maybe not, but this is what I need you for. You know what I mean? To help me finally like put the old stuff that, won't fit the baby from, hand-me-downs, get them organized and stuff. So that's so, so smart. And you said you moved closer to where your parents live, right? I
Yeah.
love that. Do you know, like right now, what your childcare will look like for the little one?
Working on that, I talked to both the grandmothers and just tried to understand what they wanted because, first step would be like, y'all just come over and help me with the baby. But actually, what I realized is like they want to be grandmothers. They're happy to help, but like they want to be grandmas.
Yeah.
Which is not the same thing as helping me.
Yeah.
They just want to hold the
Yes.
baby.
There's mother's helper roles, and there's like, yes, they just want to cuddle. Like they don't want to be cooking and
Yeah,
cleaning, taking the trash out, which we
not
desperately need
really.
as well. Yes,
Right. And
absolutely.
that was something else that the women that I was like, when I was just kind of going through this, were telling me. They were like, look, family and friends are like super helpful, but at the end of the day, like they have their own lives too. Like they did not decide to get pregnant and have a baby. So
Yeah.
make sure that you have people who are dedicated to helping you. So what we're doing is hiring a family assistant. Who will be dedicated to me and Josh to help us because I want to be an active like caregiver for the baby. I'm going to be the primary caregiver for the baby, but that means I don't want to worry about everything else. If that makes sense.
Everything else,
So
like family engagements, like what are the holidays going to look like? Tell me. Yeah.
yeah, like I don't want to worry about decorating the tree. I
Oh,
don't
okay.
care.
Oh,
Like I
okay.
don't like Thanksgiving, someone was like, are you guys gonna have Thanksgiving at your house? I'm like, absolutely not. But like
Right.
if we are, they can manage it. Like they can
Get a
hire the chef
caterer.
or whatever.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. You got
But
a mother's
I
helper.
don't
Yes. Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Amazing.
Or if like I want to I won't be flying for a while, obviously, but I'm probably going to get stir crazy. So I want to go to Gatlinburg. So can you look up the houses on Airbnb and like book it? Like I just want to focus on me and baby and,
You're so
and then
sweet.
also give Josh a chance to focus on him transitioning into fatherhood and supporting me and supporting baby and not necessarily all of the house management and life things falling on his plate either. Because he also,
Yeah.
he's going to probably go back to work obviously faster than I am. So that's the plan. And then a night nurse for just like the first 3 months when I'm still at home on maternity leave, just to help me with healing and just learning how to take care of baby at night and then get some sleep.
Yeah.
But hopefully by the time I'm back from mat leave, he'll be sleeping mostly through the night, even if he wakes up like once or twice.
How much is
Side
a
of the
night
bed.
nurse? Like, what does that cost? Have you been like pricing it
Night
out yet?
nurse. Oh, I got a budget. Come
I
on,
know you
Mandy.
are. Tell me though, because I'm genuinely curious. Yeah.
Yeah, a night nurse is anywhere between there's different levels of night nurse. So the most senior night nurse or postpartum doula, there's all types of names, but basically someone who is certified to take care of a baby. I want someone who is also previously an actual nurse who has all the certifications.
Okay.
Um,
Which comes at a price,
and
I'm sure.
yeah, it's like 30 to $35 an hour.
Oh, okay. So 8 hours, 240.
6 to 8 hours, depending on because they can come in at like
Yeah.
11,
Like what, a
so
thousand,
11
fifteen hundred a week ish? About that? Okay.
depends on how many nights you do. Some people could do it just for 2 nights, right? Some people
Right.
will do it for
Yeah.
4 nights. That also could help with like date nights and things like that. When we're probably months and months away from having a date night, but like
I want a night
certain
nurse.
scenarios in which you want someone, the baby's already sleeping, but you need
Yeah.
someone there.
I want to have
And again,
3
also
glasses
wake
of
up to,
wine after 9 p.m. and watch Below Deck
yeah,
for a few
and
hours.
just not be worried about, oh, what happens if he wakes up and I'm like, slightly tipsy.
Yeah, exactly.
But also breastfeed. So if you are not breastfeeding, it's a little bit different because then you actually just sleep through the night. If you're breastfeeding, you're still waking up to pump or like feed baby, but then you're not doing the burping, the swaddling, the diapers, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Someone else is doing that.
Because by the time you do all that shit, they're ready to eat again and you don't sleep. And yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think
That's the word.
that is money well spent. Absolutely. I'm
Yeah.
like, right now, because I work from home, I don't feel when I was 9 to 5, it was real. It was, plus it was the pandemic. God, it was a blur. It was so hard. But this time around, I can take my little naps, and my husband got a longer paternity leave this time, which was amazing. He got 12 weeks this time versus 6. He
Did
had
you
to
guys
go back
split it
after.
up?
We talked about it, but then we just were enjoying it. So he just spent 12 weeks at home, and I'm like, he got vacation days, we'll figure it. We had such an amazing time. He just went back a couple days ago. And he enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I'm still, loving it. But the whole sleeping at night situation is, I get, you get what you can. And
how many times are you guys waking up?
Well, not that often. So I'm trying to tell you what I do without getting shamed, because here's the thing. As parents,
I just told you I'm getting a night nurse. You don't think the girls are going to come for me?
But listen, but it's someone who's qualified, and they're a nurse and all this. If I told you what I was doing at night, some people would say that's not pediatric approved, American Society of whatever it is, APA approved. Like, the moms would come for me on IG, but I co-sleep with my baby. He sleeps on my chest for a good stretch of the night. And when he wants to feed, I just pop a boob out and he eats and he goes back to sleep on my chest. And it is delightful. And I get sleep. He gets sleep. I don't have to get up because he's right there. I don't do the swaddling at night like I did with my first. And when he naps during the day, he's usually napping on his tummy in the middle of the living room in the hard bassinet, and we watch him, and he does amazing, and he'll sleep so long, and I don't have to stress about putting him down for a nap and getting with my firstborn, we were insane. Cause we had the perfect, we weren't insane, but we were very rigorous. I was about the perfect blackout bedroom, blackout shades, white noise machine blasting. Everything had to be quiet, swaddled on his back. And if he didn't sleep for a full 45 minutes or a 2-hour nap, I had failed. And why isn't he sleeping? And I don't even, and I was tracking everything. They have the apps, and oh girl, no. So I was tracking everything. And this time, first of all, I had to be more relaxed this time because I have a 3-year-old running around the house. Yeah. And I'm not going to spend my day telling him to shush, because he's never gonna, because he's 3. And so, and also, I don't want to be that mom that's like, shush, 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 you can't. No. I don't want to, it's not fun for him. It's not fun for me. So it's everything is baby and, that thing and the baby will be there in the background. And so he's sleeping through construction next door. He sleeps through his brother screaming and crying and, horsing around. So we do what works for us, and I'm having a damn good time. And I'll decide, Imani, whether or not you can keep this in the show, but I wanted you to know, Morgan, that you'll figure your own, you'll figure out your own strategies. Yeah.
I think this is the stuff that, we as public figures have to tell people what's going on with our lives, because if you look at the stuff on the internet, it's just tragic how much people shame things that actually people have been doing for centuries. Yeah. People have been co-sleeping safely in so many cultures
I'm in a medieval, I imagine I'm in a medieval era where we're just all sleeping in the same room. And I'm the babies did this. I'm sure they did. It just feels so natural and so good. And
and you're an educated woman. It's not like you're uninformed. You have every resource available to you. People have to trust that you are making the right decision for yourself and the baby. This is not a situation in which you don't know about all the things that people talk about. So I think this is the freedom. This is the part that people need to know. It's Morgan's getting a night nurse. Mandi's got the baby. It's what it is.
Yeah, it's what it is. And if you decide to, and also there's the element of, you can have your plan and then you have a human being who you need to meet. And I'm so much more mentally prepared I was this time around, that I'm getting to know this baby. He's going to be fussing and crying because I don't know what he needs yet. I got to get to know him. And so many conversations with him, I'm like, oh, so you don't like that? Okay, cool. Got it now. I'm noting that for the future. Yeah. And also they change every 3 days or every couple days too. So what worked for him yesterday is not going to work today. So it's different baby every day. this whole mat leave for me has just been such a joy. That's why I'm like, I want another baby. Shocking myself. My husband's like, no, cuz not if you have to get pregnant to do it. But just huge congratulations. I know I could talk to you forever and ever about this. God, is there something that we didn't touch on? I never did come back to Bay, but
that's okay.
He'll be fine. I hope that you have a healthy rest of your pregnancy, and I don't even need to, like, at this point I know you've done the research. You're going to find out on your own. And you're going to be a brilliant, brilliant mom. What a lucky baby. What a lucky baby. Huge congrats. I'm going to send you a little something too. If you share your deets with me, some stuff.
Thank you.
Because I can't come and put a crib together for you, which I would do if I was in Nashville, but I'm in New York.
I appreciate that. No, thank you for having me. And I hope for any woman or person who's going through this, that's listening to us, who's an entrepreneur, who's a CEO, or who is a side hustler, who's juggling different things, just know that there are an infinite amount of options of how you transition into parenthood. And there's no one right way to do it. And at the end of the day, you can prepare as much as possible. But just like Mandi said, you want to also be open and flexible to whatever the universe and God has for you and your baby. And sometimes that means just being prepared for the whatever.
Mm-hmm. Being real good with whatever is the key to my happiness.
That's right.
I'm like, constantly my therapist is like, you're a leaf floating on the stream, and it's going to change directions. I'm like, yes, I'm a leaf. I am. Congrats, Morgan. Thank you so much for being on Brown Ambition. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Definitely go check out Morgan's brand new podcast, The Journey, which you can find. You know how to find podcasts. You listen to this one. Also, definitely follow her on IG. And The Journey has its own page, so follow that as well. Follow Blavity. Follow all the things, okay? And Morgan, I can't wait to have you on the show again. Thank you so much for supporting us all these years and just for being the light that you are.
Likewise. Thank you.
Hey, BA fam. We're on YouTube. Woohoo! Thank you so much for watching. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel.
And while you're at it, why don't you go over to that little bell icon and just tap that for us. Show the BA fam how much you love us. And that way you'll also get notifications when new videos drop. Also, share the channel with a friend. We're always like, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. And thank y'all so much again for all the support.